Hi Pico Brewers, Annie Johnson Brewmaster here to talk to you today about bottling. I'm going to show you how to bottle from your keg of finished beer where you don't need a CO2 tank. But you will need some things to gather in advance. You'll want to get a CO2 injector that uses 16-gram cartridges. You'll want to have a ball lock adapter. This one has a threaded ending. And then you'll need a hose barb attachment that also has threads. And this is just the way that we hook up for a more secure attachment when we're bottling our beer. You'll need a length of tubing, 3 to 4 feet. I have 4 feet. Then you'll need a spring-loaded bottling wand. You'll see when I push this down, there's a small spring inside. And when I depress this inside the bottle, the beer flows through. So you get a nice even feel from the bottom up. Other things that you'll need are bottle caps, just standard crown caps. You can find them in all different colors. If you want to get them for occasions, you can do that too. They come red, green, gold, stars and stripes, you name it. You'll also need some type of sugar. Now sugar you need because it reacts with the residual yeast that's left in your fermented beer and creates a natural carbonation. Sierra Nevada is famous for this, and lots of British styles too. So you can get regular old corn sugar. You can use honey. You can use dry malt extract. You can also get these tablets or drops. Today we're going to use the drops and the tablets to show you how. They're all available at your local homebrew supply shop or online, and they're very easy. You'll also need some type of capper. This is a wing capper. It's the one that I prefer, but you can also get a stand capper, and it has an adjustable lever on it. So if you're using larger bottles or the shorter, you'll have to adjust it for each one. I do find that this is much more convenient. And of course you'll need bottles. You can save bottles or you can purchase them. I prefer purchasing bottles, 12 ounce. Quickly you'll tire of that and move up to the bomber size. They're great. Remember, if you're collecting bottles, you'll want to drink the beer and then rinse it really well. Because if you leave old beer in bottles, it's much harder to get any type of dried debris or mildew or bacteria inside the bottle. So if you do have those that don't look good, throw them away. The best thing to do though before you bottle is to give yourself a little visual test. You'll also want to wash them in some way and sanitize them. So I use the Star San, which we talked about before in our keg cleaning video. And then there is this great convenient bottle washer. You put a little bit of sanitized water in it. I also put my crown caps in there so they're ready and waiting. And then bottles, any size, just go on the top, a few pumps, and then the liquid goes straight to the top and hits the bottom. And remember, if you're using Star San, it's a no-rinse sanitizer. And then they do make these convenient bottle trees. They're very inexpensive. And you just place them on there and you rotate through, and you can hold up to a case of bottles on here. Any size is perfect. So let's get started in our bottling. We're going to put together our bottling wand. I've already put the tubing over the actual spring-loaded wand. And on the end, I've used a hose clamp with the threaded barb. So I take my ball lock connector and twist that on so it's secure. Then I will take my CO2, and this just screws off the bottom. And you place a cartridge in. You'll probably end up using 2 cartridges for the entire process. It could be less. And give it a good tight twist. You'll hear a little hissing sound, and that's the CO2 cartridge seal breaking. So now you have gas in here. And this ball lock attachment can go on. But before you put it on, make sure you replace the silicone lid of your fermented beer with your metal keg lid. So we'll go ahead and put on our CO2. Go ahead and put it on the end. You'll want that good snap so you know how to secure fitting. I have next to me a pitcher of sanitized water. It's just water with a little star sand in it because I want to put my wand somewhere when I'm not filling so I don't knock it or it doesn't end up on the floor. And the next thing I want to do is choose my priming sugar. Now I love these drops. You follow the directions. It's just one drop, looks like a lemon drop. One drop goes in 12 ounce. And then if you like the bomber size, you just use 2. There's also these tablets. They're the same thing, compressed sugar. Dry malt extract is actually what it is. And then you use 5 tablets if you're using a 12 ounce. And then you'll double that for a larger size. If you want to use sugar, I would stay away from table sugar, but you could use corn sugar. And if you go to the forums, you'll see a carbonation calculator. You'll need to measure your sugar and add it. It can get a little messy. That's why I prefer the drops or the tablets. But by all means, if you have corn sugar and you want to use that, you go right ahead. But use that calculator in the forums to help you get the right amount. The problem is when you're using this method and measuring it out yourself is if you get too much. Too much sugar that will react with the residual yeast could cause your bottles to explode. And that's messy and it could be very dangerous. So I highly recommend the drops or the tablets, but if you do this route, make sure you use the calculator to get the proper amount. And then also too, when you're got the cap on and you're storing your beer for the carbonation process to take place, put them back in the box they came in, or if you have empty 6-pack holders. That way if you drop it or if they do happen to explode for any reason, you'll be protected. So let's go ahead and start filling. So I already have my drops in here, my clean bottles. So I'm going to give this some blasts of CO2 till I start to see beer come through the tube. Here it comes. The first blast is always yeast. You don't want that. And you can go ahead and get rid of that. And then we'll start to see now I have beer. So obviously it's coming out just a little too hard. So you'll want to release some pressure. Then take your bottling wand, place it all the way to the bottom, and go ahead and press. If it starts to fill too fast, just release some of the gas and lift up on the bottling wand till it goes at a much slower pace. The whole point is to fill from the bottom to the top so you get a nice even flow. Fill all the way to the top. And then when you remove your wand, you'll have the perfect amount of headspace. Set your wand off to the side. Put on your crown cap. Wing capper. Straight down. And just till it doesn't give anymore. You don't want to overdo it because you can make an indentation on the top of the cap. That's too much, and you may start to force the crown cap out, and you won't have a nice tight seal. But there it is, and what I do is I always write in pen or set off to the side somewhere where I know the very first one that I bottle and the last one I bottle, because those will have the probably the most amount of yeast in them. So they'll be my tester bottles. So I'll know once I set these off to the side to condition at room temperature for about 10 days at room temperature that I'll go ahead and open these up and see if I have my carbonation, which I should. So I'm going to go ahead and fill the 12 ounce. You can see here that the beer is much clearer. There's still yeast in there and it'll still be able to react with the sugar. And I still have a very nice fill and a very steady, but it's not creating any excess bubbling. Right to the top, pull it out, put it back in your bucket. There you have it. If you prefer to use swing top style, the old Grolsch style, they work just as easily too. They're generally about 16 ounces. I just go ahead and put one tablet in, one drop, or if I'm using the tablets, I may use 2 extra. Same thing. Into the bottom, push. And when your flow starts to get really slow and low, just go ahead. One blast should do it. But be patient. And if you have a friend, this is a good time to invite a friend over to help do bottling. Everybody loves bottling. So I'm starting to get a little slow. So that's all I need. Straight to the top. Remember, fill it all the way to the top. Then when you remove the wand, you'll get that perfect amount of headspace. And when I talk about headspace, I'm talking about that little bit of area where there's no beer. And your beer needs a little bit of oxygen to do this process. There. It's perfect. Bottling is a great way to take beer to parties. You can store it really well. Remember, you can use your Zymatic as a pasteurizer. So if you do other kinds of things in bottling, you can use it in that fashion too. Or your beer. I don't, but by all means you can. But it's just a great way to store beer and to just write on the top what it is. Or if you're really into label making, which is a lot of fun, especially for Christmas gifts or birthday gifts, anniversary, you can do that as well. The American style champagne bottle is also another way, a larger format. Just remember to get an American style, because if you use a French, the crown caps don't fit. But you can use corks and cages, which we'll talk about on the forums. But here you can see this is a Jeroboam. It's an American style. I can fill that. You just have to use enough priming sugar so the yeast can react and cause the carbonation.